Changeling Space Program. By Chris Overstreet. Interlude. Mission 10. Unfinished business. Dragonfly wiggled the throttle, wondering if she could somehow set it to 105%. The ship, even stripped down as it was at liftoff, wasn't rising off the ground nearly fast enough to suit her, and her sole mission goal required all the speed she could get, as soon as she could get it. Of course, if Cherry Berry hadn't been on the other side of Equus after her flight, Chrysalis would have been in the seat. Or maybe not. This was a minor mission, just clearing up the last contract before their first serious, coordinated attempt at orbit. The Queen might not want to sully her hooves with an unimportant flight. Give it to the backup pilot. It gives her something to do. Granted, any flight was a good flight, but Dragonfly wanted more of a rush. Yes, the rocket had started to accelerate faster, but it wasn't really shoving her back in the seat. The ride was too gentle. It was, well, kind of boring. 10, or Eden, Chrysalis said over the communications link, pitch over 10 degrees east. 10 copies pitch 10 degrees east. Dragonfly pushed the stick to the right, watched the markers on the ball shift, and recentered it again. 10, or Eden. Chrysalis's voice had a touch of exasperation in it. That was south, not east. Remember where the north line is on the ball. Oops. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, but not much. Who cared? This ship was going up and coming down, not really going anywhere. Sure enough, Chrysalis confirmed, it doesn't matter much. 10. It just means the flight will be a little shorter, that's all. Coming up on target speed. Really? Dragonfly looked, and sure enough, the acceleration had picked up a bit more. The ride was so smooth compared to her first flight that it almost wasn't flying at all. I see it, or Eden. Throttling back to hold at 540. There, the upper end of the speed required for the test, and just in time, too, as the ship crossed 12,000 meters. Immediately a light winked yellow, then green. Flea test reads successful, repeat green light on flea test. Or Eden copies good flea test, Chrysalis said, adding not quite softly enough for the microphone not to catch it, and about time. Dragonfly looked at her gauges. She still had more than a quarter of the fuel remaining for the swivel, plus the flea itself, whose thrust had been metered almost to nothing to make it suitable for deceleration and return. You know what? There's nothing else on the list. I'm going to do what I want. Throttling back up to full, she announced, doing so and noting with satisfaction that with most of its fuel gone the swivel was doing a decent bit of pushing now. 10, or Eden, what are you doing? Chrysalis asked. You and Cherry got to go to space, Dragonfly said. It's my turn, and I think I've got the fuel. 10, we don't have mission planning for a space trajectory, Chrysalis said. You get down here right now. Don't worry about me, my queen. Dragonfly said cheerfully. I'll be all right. She looked out the window and saw streamers of hot compressed atmosphere rushing past the nose of the capsule. But maybe I'd better slow down just a little, and pause before I light up the flea. Getting a bit warm in here. You do that, 10, Chrysalis said. And stand by while I talk with the boffins and make sure we can get you back. The final trajectory was very similar to the one Chrysalis had flown, but lower and shallower. Dragonfly got about 3 minutes above atmosphere, and she enjoyed every moment of them. 10, or Eden, get back in your seat, Chrysalis ordered. Young lady, I said get back in your seat. This is fun. There wasn't much extra space in the capsule, but in freefall it turned out to be a lot more than the designers had originally expected. This is even better than the wind tunnel. Who cares about the wind tunnel? This is the real fun machine. She did cartwheels, somersaults, barrel rolls, even the backstroke. She bounced from one side of the capsule to the other, heedless of the voice in her ears. Dragonfly, you just re-entered atmosphere, Chrysalis said sternly. Get back in your seat and buckle up right this minute, or there won't be anything left of you for me to punish later. I mean it. Dragonfly paused in her cavorting, noticed the altimeter, and sighed. I guess you're right, she said, carefully easing herself back into the chair and snapping the harness buckle together. But it's just so much fun up here. You know how it is. Yes, I do, Chrysalis said. I also remember how the ride back down was. Now get on your retrograde, switch the SAS back on, and stay alert. Yes, copy, or Eden, Dragonfly responded. After performing the requested maneuver, she added, you know, the reaction wheels work really well with the flea on the capsule. Makes ship balance almost perfect. The what? Pause. 10, or Eden, haven't you decoupled that flea engine yet? I don't want to, Dragonfly said. I think I can bring it home. I wish you wouldn't, Chrysalis said with the kind of feeling no changeling could truly fake. Leaving aside the fact that you'll hit the ocean like a brick with it on, I hope after this mission never to see a flea again so long as I should live. Get rid of it. Over. But I really think I can do it. The speed of the ship, which had gradually increased even as flames began to lick around the sides of the capsule, was now beyond the fastest speed recorded on Chrysalis's descent and still accelerating. This is a command from your flight controller, the bull who designed your rocket, and your queen all together, Chrysalis said. Dump that engine. Now. Do you copy, Mission 10? Dragonfly sighed. 10 copies, she said. Besides, the air's making steering it a bit squirrely anyway. She hit the staging button, letting the flea tumble before her for a few moments. And then, to her horror, she saw it square in the middle of her hatch window, flying by close enough for her to count the rivets on the rocket casing. Oh my F! And then it was gone, behind her, having missed the capsule by less than 2 meters. Or Eden? This is Mission 10, Dragonfly said weakly. For future reference, ditching a stage directly in front of you is a bad idea. As in potential bad day stupid. Something, to remember. So long as we all learn something from this, 10, Chrysalis said dryly. But ditching the engine had accomplished its goal. Without the weight, and with the broad, rounded heat shield pointed directly into the wind of the thickening atmosphere, the ship began to slow. Gradually Dragonfly felt herself gain weight, and more weight, and then a whole lot of weight. 3 Gs of deceleration, 4 Gs, 5 Gs, even uncomfortable as it was, Dragonfly grinned. This was what rocket flights should be like. The feeling of hard acceleration, hard deceleration, weightlessness in between. The blackness closing in at the edges of her vision, well, that was bonus. And then, all too soon, it was over. As the ship passed below 600 meters per second, the gravity load lessened, and the sea began coming up very, very, very fast. But, Dragonfly grinned, not fast enough. Too bad, oh dark horse, you aren't getting me today. At 280 meters per second, at 3,500 meters altitude, she hit the parachute switch, lying back as she heard the ropes slither out and the canopy deploy. Chutes deployed at 3,500, she announced. See? That was a whole 500 meters higher than yours, or Eden. I really could have brought that flea back. Plenty of room to spare. On the other end of the communication, Queen Chrysalis groaned, removed her headset, and slumped forward on the capsule communicator workstation. The tragic thing, she thought, is that Dragonfly is one of my most level-headed and responsible changelings. Mission 10 Report. Mission Summary, Test that cursed flea. Pilot, Dragonfly. Flight duration, 8 minutes 28 sec. Contracts fulfilled, 1. Milestones, none. Conclusions from flight, this is why only Cherry and I should be allowed to fly. Mission assessment, a bit too successful, actually. Author's note. I actually wrote this before beginning work on Chapter 8. I'm not going to have Chapter 8 finished in time before I leave for the next convention, so here's this tidbit. Yes, there are a couple of spoilers. Cherry Berry makes it into space in Chapter 8, and her flight wasn't 100% successful, leaving Dragonfly to mop up the loose end. So, a quick little thing, no pictures, no footnotes this time. Chapter 8 is currently well over 10,000 words, and I've not quite got to writing up the flight of Mission 9 yet. Mission 9, by the way, has 11 pics associated with it. I might or might not use them all. Anyway, enjoy. End author's note.